that group together. Now, as time went over. I think we were together for probably about 8, 10 years, almost 10 years, I think. And
Mm-hmm.
in recent times, Glenn Leonard, who also has a group called Glenn Leonard's Temptations Review, has started to begin get a lot of attention in the European market with the passing of both Richard Street and uh, Ed, Ed- um, Dennis Edwards and people like that. So he every time we were prepared to do a show, Glenn wasn't available because he was his temp review was getting too much work, and so we sat down late last year, and the three of us got together and realized that probably the best way for us to move forward was for him to go ahead and pursue that thing, and Joe and I would uh, seek to find that third individual. Now, one of those, it so happens that one of the shows that we did was with the uh, Charleston orchestra, the orchestra down in Charleston, 55-piece orchestra, one of the gigs that Glenn couldn't do, and we searched around looking for someone to fill that third spot because we were going to be out in the park with the orchestra, and it was like it had to be right, and so my management and I uh, reached out to several people, and I started to read about Theo. I had never met Theo Peoples, his name. He lives out in St. Louis. I called him up, and he sounded so gracious and kind, and he agreed to do the show with us. And we went down and did that show. It was very successful. So when we made this decision to make a change, uh, he was the first person that came to mind, and he joined us, and we did our first show at Busch Gardens down in Tampa, Florida, called Real Music, Real Masters, the series they were having down there. So we were down there for a week and got to kind of get the group melded together and began to, feel each other out and get a sense of how each other performs on stage and that sort of thing. It was just clicking. So that's where Voices of Classic Soul came from. It's the necessity of change. I,
Wow, necessity of change. Now, see, I really love the title, Voices of Classic Soul, like bang. It's very descriptive and
yeah,
it's, your mantra also, right? It's what you've done. It's your legacy, it's your life right there, Voices of Classic Soul. I
yes.
really love that. Now, together you'll have been around the world and back. Have you crossed paths with him before? You just didn't realize it, or how did that work?
Yeah, probably so. Now I've seen him perform with the Four Tops. It just so happens I went to a couple of shows, not looking to see him, but he was the lead singer, uh, and that's an interesting story, which I'll tell you in a minute. But yeah, I went to the show, and they were treating him like Levi, because he replaced Levi with the Four Tops when Levi Stubbs began to get really ill. Um, they called. Uh, Theo in, who had been with the Temptations for 6 years. And
Hmm.
they called him and said, well, we know. So he started traveling with the Four Tops, and Levi was still the lead singer, but again, he was starting to become ill. And one day they were in Vegas. They were in Vegas, and Theo says, right in the middle of the show, Levi stopped the show, stopped the music, stopped everything. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I've got an announcement to make. Um, I I'm no longer going to serve as the lead singer of the Four Tops."
Not in the middle of the show.
In the middle of the show, he
In the
said,
middle of the show.
in the middle of the show in Las Vegas.
I didn't realize that was the proper etiquette.
Well, believe me, it was different. I'm sure it doesn't happen that way often. But it's an amazing story. So everyone's looking around at each other, and Levi says, "But I have an able replacement. He's the gentleman that I'm confident can carry this legacy on in my name." And he said, "Theo, here's the mic." Handed Theo the mic and walked off the stage.
Wow. Now that right there is amazing.
Yeah. Theo was like, "What?"
And when he's ready to go, he just took off and just
Yep,
kept going.
kept on going.
Wow, now that's amazing. That's skill and that's talent right there. He's able
His
to
band,
just jump right in.
yeah,
He's
his
ready to
band,
go. You know, they always say, be ready so you don't have to get ready.
That's right. That's right. Listen, yeah, I call it prepare yourself for your lucky break, right? It's
Exactly.
luck requires that you be ready for it. You know, when
You
stuff.
be ready. And I always say, you know, I
Yeah.
always say we have to stop always asking for things, you know, until we're ready for it. Because sometimes we keep asking, we don't receive
Mm,
because, you know, he knows we're not ready. So when do you get ready? Prepare yourself to just constantly receive those blessings. That is amazing. So
mm.
welcome to Theo to the bunch. Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep.
So
Yeah.
now you had some, so what do you say, like, given that your own experience with having some things that were abruptly like changed and canceled, what do
Mm.
you say to other artists and entertainers in your field in terms of how to regenerate, keep going, and then also to the event promoters, the promoters, you know, how do you keep that going?
Hmm.
Because as you see, like you see DJ Nice, right? He took his skills on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you got to be, you got to be ready to pivot. You got to be ready to pivot. Uh, Again, now for us, that was the most recent pivot that we had to make. I mean, it was no hard feelings. We understood Glit had to pursue the career that was opening up for him. The new, and we had to make a move to accommodate that and for ourselves and to stay relevant, right? So now we're talking. I brought on a webcaster to who's going to help us to do the streaming we need to do to be able to reach out with a concert to that'll be broadcast. FaceTime. I mean, Facebook Live and on YouTube and
So you're
Twitter.
saying that's what you're doing now for concerts? You're doing them online now?
Yes, what we're gonna be doing. Like I said, I brought in a webcaster. We're still testing to make sure, because singing together in different places remotely requires a lot of precise. Uh,
A lot of synchronization, exactly. And you have to time it and test it. But
yeah,
of course, it can be done. It's actually quite beautiful.
yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but I belong to a band. Um,
Mm,
and it's a worldwide band. It's an international band, actually. It's an all femme group. And I play a drum.
really?
We have done that. So we have members like all around the world, and we've done like we've all playing simultaneously all around the world. We put together a video. It is absolutely crazy, insane, but it's so much fun. But it took us a moment to get it because at first it was some videos were a little bit choppy and there was a delay, but then we finally got it. And I tell you, it is absolutely incredible. It's absolutely amazing. It's very uplifting.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. You surprised me with that one. You surprised.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I can hit the drums.
Yeah. All right now. Yeah. But I tell people in this new environment, you got to be two things. I think one of the very first thing is you have to be willing to change. I know folks who are kind of stuck, you know, and they can't deviate from the way they used to do it, and it's almost too difficult. So it's a mindset change that you have to really want to do that, or if not, it won't work. Whatever,
Right. Hmm.
because you're going in it half-heartedly, and it's going to require you know all hands on deck to actually make it come to pass. So that's probably one of the very first things you got to be willing and want. You have to want to change and secondly, then you have to enhance your knowledge. You have to learn. You have to learn what the new situation is. Learn how this web, the streaming works. My personal piece in that was, like I said, I was a young singer. All I wanted to do was sing background, and let somebody else sing lead. And the day came when someone turned to me and said, "Well, Joe, can you sing the song?" And I was in the studio. I was in the studio working on a project for RCA Records, and they turned to me because the person in the booth was not delivering, and they turned to me and asked if I thought I could sing that song, and I had to dig down within me because everything within me wanted to stay out there and listen to this other guy sing, but you know what I mean? Because it was like, that's not me, right? So, but who is me? Me has got to be who I need to be uh, to move forward. So I went in that booth and did what I had to do, and made it work. So So for me, again, it was, stepping into the role of a lead singer. It was learning how to act, doing some acting with George Faze, people like George Faison. I don't know if you know George. He was won a Tony for The Wiz. And
Mm-hmm.
Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope. He's a Washington D.C. guy. Went to Howard University. It was funny. Now there you go. George went to Howard to be a dentist.
Really?
He went there to be a dentist, and
Talking about pivoting.
he walked into the drama uh, school by mistake, and said,
And met his passion.
"Yep." So wait a minute, this is what I want to do. Yep, and
Awesome. Wow.
so it's a process, of reinventing yourself and adapting to what is required, and that's where my songwriting came from. I was a guy
Right.
who was fine writing other folks' writing, but after a while, I wasn't enjoying the songs they were writing for me. So let me get in that game. Let me start writing. Let's see, writing my name is writing some songs instead of complaining about the ones that I don't like that much. You know. So, you know.
For
Yeah.
those who are just joining us, my name is Cece Cole, host of the Silk Undress Podcast Experience. Today, we're leveling up with Joe Coleman, former member of the Platters. He's talking about how to level up. He has a new group called Voices of Classic Soul. Joe, so let me ask you a question. So, here we are, and we're talking about those changes in the mindset that you just spoke about.
Mhm.
Let me just throw this out there. So, in the age of collaboration, where old meets the new, and we have this generation that's in between, how do Voices of Classic Soul tap into that wave? I'm going to tell you something a little funny. This is going to go back to, we are in 2020. Wow, time is going by fast. So this had to be back in maybe 2001 or 2002. I was an organizer for this large corporation,
Mhm.
and they were doing a festival in Miami. And the lineup was Music Soul Child, um,
Hmm.
Jill Scott, Frankie Beverly, and Frankie Beverly Mays, and oh my goodness, it was another group.
Mhm.
I don't remember, but in our planning, because it was in South Beach, we were thinking that we'll put, Frankie Beverly and Mays, because that's for us, right? That's for
Right.
us.
Yeah. That's
Folks,
old school.
check
I
that
got.
out.
Yeah.
And we made arrangements differently for Jill Scott and Music Soul Child, because we thought, in my mind, that's going to attract the younger generation.
Right.
Well, let me tell you, you could pick any spot in the room for those two, but you could not get into Frankie Beverly because the young people, we're like, we don't understand this. Like, what happened? And so I'm like, so how do you have that kind of mindset, finding music that will cross over for generations and it's a classic? And still today, my granddaughter, she's been singing that song since she was 7 years old. I'm thinking, like, seriously, can I have anything of my own?
Well, it's a combination of being true to yourself, but meeting folks kind of halfway in a sense. Maybe not quite halfway. I work with a lot of young musicians and such. When I'm writing, I'm looking to kind of make sure that I have the sounds that they are comfortable with. I'm not going to write a song that makes me sound like I'm trying to be a hip hop kid. You know,
Mhm, mhm.
there's no, that's not keeping it real on any level. But I want them to be able to hear something of what they're familiar with in the flavor of the song. So,
Right. And lyrics are very important. Every now and then I do substitute teaching, and I go into schools, and it really amazes me that I can say two sentences.
mhm,
No one in there can repeat anything, but you can put on any song and they know every single word of the song.
yes,
And
yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm like, I only said two sentences. And you have no idea what I said, but how is it you can remember all these songs? They said, because they speak our language and you don't. And I'm thinking, I only gave you instructions. Like, what language do I need to speak? And so I find it incredible, like you said, just really finding content that's
Mhm.
to speak, multi generations, right? So
Yes.
just
Uh,
finding things that are going on that's relevant to today while still being true to yourself. So
Right.
therefore they can actually honor you in your era and your time period and still reflect on how it's relevant to today because it's quality music. It's
Well put.
classic, for goodness sake.
Yeah,
It's classic.
that's exactly right. What I found is that the young people that come to our shows, and there are more and more young people coming, are usually quite surprised how much they enjoy the music in the show. You know what I mean? Because it's real. It's
It's
real.
real. And it's the lyrics. It
Yeah,
says something.
yeah,
I always say that back in the day, we had songs that actually had life to it, had some meat to it. And
yeah.
like, you can understand it today. I always like, what's the storyline again? So sometimes I try to figure out like, how do we get to the point where the music today tells a story? You
Yes, 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 yeah. And you mentioned earlier that we kind of traveled a good portion of the world, and I and I've been able to see how music is such a communicator for someone who doesn't speak English. You know,
right.
they know all the words to the song. They can speak a word of English. May not fully understand what the song is about, but they get the feeling of it and the emotion behind it, and it brings us in, and we're all in that concert hall or the theater or wherever we are. We're all there together, and everybody's on one vibe. Uh, and it connects us and keeps us connected for however long that show is. Whether it's an hour, 90 minutes, whatever it is, 2 hours, they're right there with us, and grooving, and it's just it just breaks down barriers that nothing else can.
hmm So
Mhm.
with Voices of Classic Soul, you mentioned being in the studio. Are you writing new content now that you will blend? Because the last time I saw you perform, you had this wonderful medley of how many? I think was it 101 songs?
You talking about that? We sang the love songs. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that
Yeah.
was so awesome. Love that. That was brilliant.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Do that same type of like elements going forward, like just combine all the experiences and kind of like make some new content,
Yeah.
like relying on, yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely, as soon as we can get back together and get in the studio, we will. We kind of got short circuited here right now. But yes, I'm writing new material for the group. I have a song called "Trust Me" that is strictly for the ladies. Fellas, you can listen, and you need to be there because the ladies are here. But this is a song for the ladies because it's a matter of developing trust, usually in that man. And I kind of address that in the song called "Trust Me." I've got a song called you may have even heard that one, um, "My Time to Shine," which is the also the title of our new book. My time on the headline books. "My Time to Shine" is about folks that are going about their life, and now it's time for them to step forward. They raise their children. They quit that band that they wanted to be in, pursue music because they had to get a job, to take care of them babies, and all that kind of stuff. And now we got to tell them it's not too late. You can still move forward, and it's your time right now, and just get on out there and do your thing. So
So
songs like
let's talk about the book. So it's a collaboration, My Time to Shine. It's a story of the three of you, Glenn,
yeah,
you and Joe Blunt.
right.
And so is it talking about your how you came into being, or does it just talk about more of the entertainment aspect of the life?
The book is more about us as people, about our lives, about growing up. That story I tell you about how I met Joe in the first place, and being in that choir and singing around Washington, all this stuff. All those kind of stories are in the books, and there's some good stories, and there's some stories that are kind of rough. A period in my life when I um, uh, was pretty much homeless for a minute. You know, I moved to New York to seek fame and fortune, and I got a little bit too deep into the New York culture, to be perfectly honest with you. And
What's wrong with our culture?
I got too deep into it. Sometimes you need to back off and back off and chill. I love New York. Don't get me wrong. That's my town right there.
That's, I'm a New Yorker. I know
Yeah,
New
yeah.
York culture is just
But
amazing, isn't
I
it?
was hanging too much, but not taking care of my business, and, you know. And I looked up and I was broke and homeless and s- slept on a park bench in Central Park.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
96 in Columbus, 96 in Central Park West. The irony of that is I now have an apartment in New York at 96 in Columbus Avenue.
The plans that I have for you are not plans to harm you.
That's right. One block from where I slept on that bench, where my apartment is in New York City.
Wow, look at that. And that was purely coincidental. Well, not necessarily coincidental, but that was
Right.
that.
Yeah, God has his plan, right? And he's gonna get you
That is
there.
really amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So now, tell us about any projects that you're working on right now. What other chats, online streaming that you have coming up? How do we follow you? You have a great Facebook page. I was singing along with you on your website with only you.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can really cut a rug because you can dance.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My mama taught me how to dance. She did that too. She came one day and said, there's this hot new dance, and she was so excited. Now, mind you, she wasn't really a dancer. She didn't go to clubs or anything that kind of thing. But that was her the song. That dance. She just particularly loved it. And guess what it was?
What's that?
The twist.
The
Yeah,
twist. Oh yeah.
that started us on our way, But yeah, so far as plans, I'm working on a lot of different kinds of things. As you're talking about reinvention and that sort of thing. I'm now working with some guys to write uh, to rewrite, should I say, and edit a children's book. I'm writing, which includes I'll be writing a song for it. It's called The Dancing Pancakes, believe it or not.
The dancing.
And
Are you serious?
I'm totally serious. And so that was a gentleman from
That's beautiful.
out in San Francisco. I was in LA, and we met through mutual friends, and he began to talk about his book, but he needed a song for it, that kind of thing, to wrap, bring it all to fruition and completion. And I said, well, maybe send me a manuscript. Let me see what you got. He did that, and
I
so
love it.
we,
Crossing over.
going in a whole nother direction. Songwriter for a long time, but never did any of the kind of Barney type songs. So it's
That's awesome.
going to be really, really interesting on that
So you're going to gain a whole new level of fans there.
that kind of thing. And
Well, that's awesome. I really do appreciate you coming in to chat with us. I see that you're working on a lot, and I just love what you do.
yeah.
Um, you know, um, I had so much criticism from the last video that I had from the show, and it was like, we can't hear them sing because you're screaming into the video. You're singing the whole time. So now I know the next time,
You just chill.
a
That's
little
right.
bit
Chill.
further away from me.
You just bop. You just bop
Yeah,
and
exactly.
oh, that's
I
funny.
just really cannot wait till this is all lifted, where you can really get back on the road and do what you do best. The atmospheres and your in the areas where you perform is absolutely amazing. People are having so much fun,
Yeah.
and just singing along and dancing. You can actually put the mic down, just stand there, and they'll take over the concert.
Yeah, we've had some really loyal fans that come to support us. We work, on the city and around
That's
the country.
amazing.
Yeah, so it's we just want to keep that vibe going, with that
Mhm.
music. That the music that we do is the soundtrack of our lives. This is what most of the folks that we know grew up on, and got all those great memories, the first kiss and the first dance, the wedding, the first child, you know what I mean? The new house, everything is associated probably with some song that you heard during that period of time. It became your song and that kind of stuff. So we're glad to be have songs that fall in that category, the songs that people can say, when I met my wife, when I asked her to dance on this song.
We used to call the strobe light songs.
Hey, 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 yes, it is.
In the
So,
corner, the back in the dark with the
yeah,
strobe lights going on.
that's what's up. That's what's up.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so very much, Joe, once again for taking time to come out and chat with us today. And we do have a few people on the line. If anyone has a question for Joe, feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask any question that you like if you have any questions.
Oh,
Well, I have a question for Mr. Joe.
Sure, go right ahead. Who are we speaking to?
My name is Vanessa Weaver, and I've been following Joe Coleman and his group, and I love both groups because to have been in the industry this long and to have such beautiful voices is just amazing. Because when you hear a lot of people that have been in the industry 30 years, and so many of them don't have their voices. And so I like to ask Joe, what's the secret to retaining your voice and the spirit in which you perform?
Oh, okay.
The energy level. I mean,
Yeah.
he does a kick
Yeah.
in one of his shows that you wonder, my goodness, I don't know
I
if
think it's
15-year-olds can
I think
kick
it's
their
just
legs
a
up like
Coleman
that.
play.
So what's the secret?
What is the secret? Well, first of all, you gotta love it. That's the first thing. You gotta love what you're doing, that kind of thing. It just so happens that it began from the beginning. My mom taught me how to sing properly, and that sort of thing. I give voice lessons to students, particularly Japanese students that come here for a lesson from me, and working with a young uh, Japanese pianist by the name of Toya Takuya, and so I'm constantly able to reinforce the techniques that I use to kind of use my voice properly and not sing on my throat, and you sing from the diaphragm and those kind of things. And but again, primarily it's just that I just simply love singing, and I try to take care of my body as best I can. And there you go. So, oh my goodness.
And I said, thank you for your question. Any other questions?
Oh, let me give you a shout out. I see my cousin, Francis and Irv tuning in. I appreciate
Hey,
y'all.
Francis, hey, Irv.
Yeah. And my boy Ainsworth is out there somewhere.
Yep.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Do you have any
Well,
questions
well,
for?
I did. I, as a youngster who enjoys the music, I didn't understand what the strobe light was. That is way past my era. So I wanted to understand what that was. There was a reference to that, and I don't know what the strobe light is. And I think it's best if I hear it from you rather than go and try to do a Google search and make sure I'm spelling correctly. The strobe light music. What is that?
Strobe
Okay,
light.
Joe, you take that one.
Well, that's up tempo dance music. It made real popular during the disco era, actually.
Hmm?
uh, that light flashes and takes you to a whole another place. There, you become psychedelic, and
Okay.
just kind of do your thing, and it's you. There's no one else, and everyone around you is also psychedelic. It's like watching a high-speed slideshow going at 50 miles an hour.
Okay.
And then when the slow songs come on, the one that Joe and them sings, then all of a sudden it goes from the strobe light to the purple light.
Oh,
And the
okay.
purple light is for like the slow jams. And that's when people kind of like disappear and all the walls become full up all around the place. All the walls are filled up because people on the walls dancing
Oh,
and making sure that their dance partners don't have too much wiggle room. I mean, but that was our time. That's what we did. I mean,
Yeah.
had really a lot of fun. Those basement parties, oh my God, those were like the best parties in the world. That's where we listened to the music, we sung along, You know, that's where everyone fell in love to the first song.
Yes,
To the
indeed.
first thing.
Oh, to the Purple song.
That's right.
Got it
Yeah.
now. Okay, that was way before my time. I think earlier, they spoke about the younger people coming and enjoying it. My dad used to play a lot of this music on a Sunday morning. He would cook on a Sunday and play a lot of these tunes. And
Mhm.
so really enjoy it for the stories it tell and the feel good factor.
Mm.
So, we try to get in as much of this as we possibly can. My wife and I, we are way younger, but we enjoy the music so much because it's a real good healthy time out and allows you to bond with your significant other. So
Yeah.
we like it for those reasons.
Yeah. Yes, it's a little bit more easier to dance to and connect with your wife as opposed to it's getting hot in here. So, so, so we're the counter to that particular vibe right there.
Right.
Yeah, only
Exactly.
do this thing. Yes, indeed.
So
And
the
I never
purple light
understood
music.
why. I used to watch TV and I'm like, why are these girls just fall out, you know, when they see these people perform until it happened to me. It
Yeah.
was a OJ's concert at the Apollo.
Hmm.
And Walter was singing, I was sitting in the front, and Walter kept singing at me, singing towards me every song. And that song, he stood there, sung that song, and I was through everything. I mean, it was just so amazing. This music have a place in history that has etched its way into all of our hearts and our minds for decades and centuries to come. Like I cannot understand how I can remember every single word to all these songs because each and every one of them bring back a distinct memory at a specific time and a specific feeling. It's just like amazing that I can actually remember all of that
Yeah.
and not remember my own phone number. It's just really amazing. So the classics, the classics are where it's at. And so I want to thank you for your contribution to that society for making all our lives better. Everyone that you've played for that heard your music, their life is better because of it.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, it's a wonderful word you said there. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. It's been my honor to sing those songs and to keep that music going and kind of touch some hearts. I mean, it's a music that's musical, emotional. It's real. It's telling real stories, and it's a song music that connects people, as I say, which is very important to me. And the additional piece of it is that we wanted to take you back to that time for real. So we do all the choreography and that the groups used to do back in the day, and do a little spinning and and dipping and all that kind of thing. And it's just a fun time. It's us coming together to have fun, enjoy each other. Yeah.
Well, thank you so very much, Joe. Go ahead and tell them where they can find you. The website, I believe, is voicesofclassicsoul.com.
Yep.
Is that correct? Okay.
That's correct. I'm at Joe Coleman 6 on Twitter, and I'm a Joe Coleman 6 on Facebook. And of course, we have the Voices of Classic Soul Facebook page as well. And so you just reach out to a brother, let me know what's going on, and keep tuned in because we're going to be doing that streaming concert within the next week or two. So we'll be reaching out to let everyone to know to tune in for that. We want to sing some songs to the folks, and we also, if I have the moment I want to thank all of the first responders and those who stood in the gap for us, and all those out there working to keep us safe, working to keep us fed, working to keep food on the shelves. Just doing everything that needs to be done to keep us alive and thriving and moving forward. So I have a special appreciation for them, and I want to say thank you very much for all you do for us. It's amazing.
Well, there you have it. Once again, that was Joe Coleman, legendary classic soul, the one who get every woman screaming to get their temperature up. When you watch that commercial with Anthony Anderson and his mom, the way she talked about Eldris Ebba, Ebba Eldris, that's Joe Coleman. He knows what the ladies want. They know how to sing. They know how to convey messages that are so unique. And so, Joe, once again, we want to thank you. Thank you so very much.
It's been my pleasure.
Everyone has been asking us about the 25 influential women of 2020. The list is finally ready, and we have some amazing women that we will be celebrating. We're going to celebrate women that made an impact and accomplishments across all industries, cultures, social medias, philanthropy, and economic development, who have made an indelible mark in the communities and industries where they serve. And so we have some tremendous women on that list. I cannot wait to share it with you. Stay tuned because we will be having them come on to Sick Undressed podcast experience. Everyone, good night, be well. Remember to stay safe at home.
Stay well. Stay safe.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye, cuz.